hoping City and Liverpool collapse. And there's a lot of people that talk about, if Slot wins the league before Arteta, it's an embarrassment for Arsenal. I get the banter. So if you're saying that's a banter Arsenal, I get it, and it's funny. In reality,
I do think it's embarrassing though, too.
Why?
If Slot comes in to the Premier League, having never managed in the Prem, never played in the Prem, and wins the Premier League in his first year when Arteta has been there for 4 or 5 years, I think that's bad, bro.
I kind of agree with LB.
I understand where you're coming from, but maybe it's the way I view the structuring of football now. So when Pep leaves at the end of this season and the next season, and you bring Alonso in that's never managed here, if he wins the league in his first season, I'm not going to sit here and go, fucking hell, that's amazing. He's taking over a brilliant team. This Liverpool side, a couple of seasons ago, nearly won a quad. We now know, because Klopp told us, the reason that there was a slight drop-off from their levels. And it's because he ran out of energy. This is not a crap Liverpool team. This isn't a Liverpool team that was taken over, that was finishing mid-table, wasn't winning anything, wasn't involved. This is a team that even in the last 2 years has won more trophies than Arsenal have. So I get your point around the new manager, but Slot has not taken over a crumbling empire. He has taken over a club that over a 10, 12-year period under FSG and Klopp has been built into one of the biggest success stories in European football.
Yeah, I hear that. 100% I hear that he's not took over a dead team. But at the same time, like, Arsenal have been building up all these years, going through these phases to get to a point where they can win a league. And if basically what we're saying is, well, another guy can just walk in at City or Liverpool and just win the league in the first year when Arteta's been there 5 years and spent 800 million quid. Nah, I think that's poor. I think if Slot gets into the 90 points in his first season at Liverpool, taking over Liverpool's greatest ever Premier League, he's under so much pressure, that manager. Yeah, and I think, by the way, I think he's handling it brilliantly. I've got to say, we've not spoke about Liverpool too much on today's show. I think he's handling it very, very well. I think that's mad for Arteta.
I think, listen, when it comes to Slot, this is what I find interesting about it. I predicted them to be in the title race throughout the summer. I said they wouldn't win the league purely based on they didn't spend enough money for him in the summer, and I think that was wrong of FSG. But I was getting pelters. The same Liverpool fans now that are saying, Terry, you don't talk about being in the title race enough, are the same ones that called me out in the summer for going, why are you putting us in a title race for? Why are you putting that pressure on us? Because I didn't look at your squad. I didn't look at your team as not being capable of winning the league, or at least being in the race, that is. Jurgen Klopp had this team nearly winning a quad. The season after that, they won two domestic trophies in that season. They then won the League Cup last year as an example. They were in the title race up until a point. The manager quit, and I get why. He ran out of energy. You've seen a new guy come in who's a very good head coach into a well-oiled machine with some of the best people in the world at running football clubs. Michael Edwards coming back in a higher position, and suddenly we're acting as though it's embarrassing for them to beat other clubs. If he beats City to the league title, it's not embarrassing, because I don't believe that football clubs are built in the image of their head coaches anymore. So some will say I'm being biased towards Arsenal. It's nothing to do with Arsenal per se. It's to do with how I now look at the way football clubs are run. You look at Barcelona and Bayern Munich as examples, okay? I know Flick's never managed in La Liga, and Vincent Kompany has never managed, he barely managed at top flight, let alone in the Bundesliga. But they've gone into clubs that, typically speaking, are well run, that have very good squads, and look how well they're doing straight away. That's not an embarrassment for Ancelotti. It's not an embarrassment for Alonso that these fresh new managers have come in and suddenly they've got these teams playing well. It's those clubs are all structured how Liverpool and how City and how Arsenal are now doing, what Man United are trying to do, where the club is run by the board, the hierarchy. The head coach is plug and play. So this is not a new Liverpool team that's been built from scratch. It's already a world-class team that should have always been considered title contenders. The problem is in England is our media do this. We still, every time a manager come in, talk about them like they're a Fergie or a Wenger and they're running the club. They're not running the club. Your own manager, Pep, talks about this all the time. They don't run the football clubs. They coach. Now, they deserve credit for how well they coach the team. But if you're a well-run club and you're good at picking new coaches, which Liverpool clearly are, I guarantee City do a great job when they replace Pep. I don't look at it as this miraculous thing that's embarrassing to everybody else when they do well straight away. I think it's normal.
But in that sense, then, if Slot comes in and wins the league in his first year, should Arsenal not look at Arteta and go,
Yes.
well, hang on a minute then, maybe we should get rid of him and go and get someone else then? If Slot can come in and win the league in his first year, because I look at the two starting 11s.
Go on.
Is Liverpool's starting 11 much better than the Arsenal's? Is it even better than Arsenal's? I mean, they have some key players like Van Dijk, who's probably better than their centre-backs, and Salah, but like you're telling me Diaz is better than a Trossard or Nunes or Jota's better than Havertz. I don't see it. So that's why I say for me, like serious questions need to be asked about Arteta. I'll be asking the same question about my manager if Slot comes in.
I understand. I think questions need to be asked about, and this is where people go to a bias towards Arsenal. It isn't. It's just how I view football. Because whoever wins the league, if it isn't Arteta, they need to be looked at. Whoever wins the Champions League, if it isn't Arteta, Arteta's got to be looked at. If Arteta ends this season with no trophies, it doesn't matter who else wins the other trophies. It doesn't matter if Pep does a quad. Arteta still needs to be looked at. At the same time, you've got to apply the logic. What if Slot is just a world-class coach and wins it this year, wins it the following year, does a three-peat, wins the Champions League, and then is more successful in 5 years than what Klopp was in the whole time? Are we then going to come back with hindsight and go, oh, fucking hell, it was a bit harsh to say it was embarrassing that he beat Arteta to winning a trophy when it turns out he's a better manager? So for me, Arteta should be judged in isolation of what he achieves and how his team improved. I wouldn't use Slot as a stick to beat him over the head with. The same as I wouldn't use Flick as a stick to beat Ancelotti with, or Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany winning the league with Bayern Munich doesn't mean that Alonso's become a bad manager and it's embarrassing for Bayer Leverkusen. I just feel that they should be looked. So I totally agree. Arteta's job should be on the line this year in terms of winning trophies. I've said the same thing for the last 2 seasons. But I don't think Slot being an amazing manager, managing an amazing club with a world-class squad, should be the defining factor of Arteta being sacked.
No, I hear that. But just quickly, Potsy, yeah. For me, if Slot does come in and wins the league this year in his first year, it calls into question everything that we've been told about this whole Arsenal and Arteta project. We get told all the time that if they get rid of Arteta, there's no one better out there. We get told all the time that if they bring in a new manager, that it's going to take 2-3 years to be challenging because he's got to implement his own style. If Slot comes in and wins the league in his first year, everything that we've been told over the last 5 years that he just needs time, there's no one better, blah, 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 it's all untrue because Slot's literally proved it.
That LB, I agree with. So Again, people that don't like me won't admit this. They won't ever show these clips when they're, clipping me up on YouTube and stuff. But I've said it for years. I've never said, whether it was me debating Lee Gunner, we had a caller that came on last year, I forget his name now, Connor. I've said it to many people that want Arteta out. I don't think it is illogical that if you'd have replaced him 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, or now, with a manager that you think is better, that they couldn't go on to have even more success and win trophies. I don't think that is inconceivable. So I agree with you. Anyone who has said there is no one better, me and Igal have had this debate. Igal is completely wrong, in my opinion, that they can't get rid of Arteta because the club is built in his image and without him, it all falls apart. If you've built the club in his image and without him, it falls apart, what a fucking stupid thing your club has done. A club should never be built in the image of a manager because he could leave for any reason. He could get sick. He might retire. You might get a better offer. You can never do that. So that argument, I agree with. I completely agree with Arsenal fans that say, I think manager X is a better head coach and will get us over the line. Therefore, I want to change it. I've never said that's a stupid piece of logic. It's never come out of my mouth. I don't believe. When they say things like, I can guarantee this guy wins, and I'm saying, well, are you not worried it might go backwards? And they go, no way, it goes backwards. That's what I think stupid. Not their opinion that they want a better manager, that you have to understand that if you change manager, he could also not be as good. It's when they refuse to acknowledge that I find it a hard conversation. But LB, I don't disagree with a large proportion of what you said. The only thing I'm not doing is using Slot as a hammer to beat Arteta or any other manager with, because it might just turn out that Slot's fucking amazing. Absolutely out of this world,
Do you know what? Like, let's just be real. Like, I'll end on this because I've got to go tell after this, but to the game. But look, I'll say this. I don't think we'll win the league, but we need to win a trophy because the team's good enough to win a trophy. You can't tell me that what we've put together in the last 5 years is not good enough to win a domestic cup and it isn't good enough to win a Champions League, right? We need to prove that by doing it, and Arteta needs to prove it. If we take Manchester City all the way again and we miss out, I would say that the board probably haven't done enough to put the players in the right positions to give Arteta what's needed in the front line, because I still think we're short. LB said it, I've said it, a lot of people have said it. I don't think we did enough to get across the line this season in the Premier League. But if you're going to finish trophyless again, I am going to ask the question, well, when do we actually win something then? Just something. Just win something. When do we bring this squad winning mentality? How do we do that? Because at the moment, that is not it. So for me, I'm not going to say get this manager gone if we go all the way and we win 2 trophies and we don't win the Premier League. If we win a trophy, he stays because that's what football's about, right? But if we go trophyless, even if we take Manchester City to the last day again and we don't get across the line, when do we say, right, enough's enough? And that's what I don't quite get with some Arsenal fans. They're not quite ready to have that conversation, which is cool. And I don't want to. We want to win. Hopefully, we don't have to have the conversation. We win.
No,
Should I see what I'm saying?
I completely and utterly agree with you. I do.